Okay, had to start it now. For today's beer fund, I could only afford another Bex, but Bex is good. So cheers. Cheers to that. Busy day. It's been a busy day. So, what are we up to today? Can you all hear me okay? Q&A until we reach some number. Someone say a number. What's the number today that we need to reach in viewers before we really start? Today we're going to talk about role centers a bit because it's so common. People always want to be changing role centers, and yeah, so we're going to quickly go over that. Then what was the other thing? Book progress. There's some more book progress I'll show you. And maybe before we reach the number and we have Q&A, maybe I'll show you something, because we actually have a Mayako sale going on. I don't know if you knew that. Let's see. Yeah, we got some good deals here, apparently. I'm going to show you some pictures in a moment. Sound is okay. Good. You can ask questions in the chat. I might answer them. You might get a reply. "42 people, 100 people. We're never going to reach that. Sorry. Maybe 50. Let's say the number is 50. If we reach 50 people, then I'll start the actual content, which is talking about role centers. Okay, but first, I'm going to show you something. Share something. I want to share this. So we have a sale going on with Mayako right now. Black Friday sale, which we extended to be a whole Black Week, Black end of November, whatever you want to call it. So if you buy a kit right now, you'll get at the second set of C-hubs and knuckles free. So the Mayako is unique in the way that it has the pillow ball style KPI 1 or then the C-hub style KPI 0. That's what you're going to get. You'll get both of them, and then you can try both and determine which direction you prefer, which style of hub you prefer. Also for members, there's free name engraving in the chassis and free shipping. And let's see what else we have here. Yeah, the membership. So the Mayako community, there's a discount now for the membership. Normally it's $429. Now it's only $299. I think today is the last day, so you better hurry up. And how do members benefit? Well, members all get discounted customizable kits. So one issue is that when you buy a car these days, there's all kinds of different option parts that you need to buy if you're serious about your racing, like Durango used to be. So you need, hubs and roll bars and springs and pistons and all of these things, which would be nice if you could just select those for your kit. Well, that's exactly what you can do with the Mayako. So you can select the options you want, so they are stock in the box when you buy it. Then also, of course, that kit is discounted. Then all parts are also discounted about 20%. And then you also gain access to a member area in the web shop where we have prototype parts. So for example, now there's a wider C&D block, there's a universal for the front, there's shorter drive shafts, longer out drives. There's all these sort of prototype parts that we test with the factory team, but we also allow the members to test. So the members can become a part of the R&D for new products. And the Truggy is a great example of that, because there are about we made 10 chassis. I don't know, maybe 5 of them are in use right now. And members have built e-Truggies and nitro Truggies using various different manufacturers' parts. And then everyone's favorite, Arrogant Max, is actually working on the design of the Truggy. And I'm just overseeing that because fuck Truggy, right? So it's a good opportunity for him to be able to design his first car. Well, if you can call a Truggy a car. But anyway, that's something that members get that's unique to Mayako. Also, then we have monthly Zoom calls with Mayako. So the factory team are there, Scott Walker, who's the community manager, and of course, our depressed IT man, the basement Bauman, is there. And Neo is sometimes there to ask the last question also. What else? Yeah, members, they have some other perks, some member-only clothing, early access to new stuff, new production parts, new production cars. There are also weekly Zoom calls with factory drivers. So Robert is on there weekly, and other drivers too. And there's a European wrenching session, USA wrenching session. So people go on there on Discord and work on their cars, rebuild their cars, talk, set up, and that kind of stuff. And also we have the wiki, which is a place where we gather all the information about Mayako buggies. And there's also a section on there which is only for members. And of course, there's a lot more to it than that. But that was a quick overview of what you get as a member. Yeah. And then, as I mentioned, normally membership is $4.29 for a year. Now it's only $2.99. I think today's the last day. So you have about, what, depending on where we set it, I think basically you have about 12 more hours or something like that. Maybe more, maybe 18 more hours to get your discounted membership. This is just what members have access to. When I said you can customize the buggy, so you can choose which pistons, roll bar springs, knuckle, hub combo, upper links or arms, your wing color, if you want your name engraved on the chassis or not, if you want a Mayako bag with your name on it, and if you want a t-shirt. So you can customize your car from the get-go. And like I said, now you have free shipping also if you order a kit. So there we go. Sales pitch over. Such an awesome salesman. Okay. Huzia RC says, this guy runs intermediate class. That's true, but my main focus is 40 plus, definitely. 40 plus is my main focus, and intermediate I run for extra track time. I can't run pro because there are so few pro heats, and I have to help people in pro. So there you go. I'm given up. I don't practice or race that much anymore. I just show up and run some laps. So that's why I'm an intermediate driver. I didn't even win, so you can't complain. JP's week. Oh, 62. We can actually start. Well, we can start with this question. How do you tell as a car designer that another car's roll centers are inherently out of whack or are actually in the ballpark? Well, there's a way to tell that. Do you hear that? That's a dirt bike outside. It's winter. But yeah, that's happening right now. Okay, remember this question. We will deal with it. We got a bunch of RC, which is roll center questions here. So, okay, I'll open up this SolidWorks here. Well, let me see. I think I need to show you a picture of how to determine roll center first, so we know what we're talking about. And then I will answer these questions about roll center. So yeah, keep questions coming specifically about roll centers in the chat, and I'll answer them as we go along here. Last time, there are other questions also. I'll just quickly answer them while I look for this picture. So last time you said you run touring car now. Which brand are you running and why? So I currently have an Automatics, but it's not the newest version. It's the second to newest one. And that's what I have now. But I also have an X-Ray on the way, because when I saw the new X-Ray, I was intrigued. It looked cool. I'm like, oh my God, X-Ray actually did something slightly original. So I want to get that with the shocks, how they are mounted sort of in the middle of the arm. Yeah, not at the ends of the car. So that looked nice. I like that. So I wanted to get an X-Ray to test. So that one's on the way. And I also would like to have a Schumacher, but because Pekka runs Schumacher, but they aren't available. He's running some prototype. So yeah, so I have an Automatics and an X-Rays on the way. And I'm trying to find, I'm in the wrong folder. No wonder I can't find what I'm looking for. I need a picture of the roll center. What? You know what? I'm actually gonna get it from the new book. So that's a chance to also mention that. I'm so sneaky. New book? Well, we have 103 pages already going on here. Jesus Christ. Been busy working on the new book here. Okay, I found what I'm looking for. So 69 people watching right now. That's perfect. Share screen. I'm going to share the new book. So here you go. If you didn't know, I'm currently writing a new book. It's based on the old one, of course, because the old one is no slouch. Invisible Speed original book was good, but now I've improved on it. So as you can see, my graphics is working on the layout. It looks a lot more stylish. It looks nicer, hopefully easier and nicer to read. But also I've added a lot of information. So for example, I have more images, more sort of quick advice like this, and more precise advice, I would say, also about different setups. And then a quick summary already existed before, but improved quick summary for chapters. I also have a corner image for where it's relevant. These aren't done yet because I don't want to give everything away to you, right? So for whatever we are discussing, we're going to quickly summarize how that setup change affects corner entry, mid corner, corner exit, and stuff like that. So you have an even better understanding of each setup change. Okay, but today we are talking about roll centers. Right? Okay, do you see this? Is this big enough? Let's see. This is maybe better. And maybe this, okay? Maybe that. Okay, there we go. So roll center, what is roll center? So here you can see a car, and if you draw a line from the upper link outside to the inside, so it intersects both points, and then you just extend it. And then if you do the same on the other side, and then if you do same for the lower arm, well, this image isn't perfect. Mao needs to do better. No, anyway, so if you draw a line from the inside to the outside, it goes through the pivot points. You extend these lines. So here, it should go from here, there, and then extend. So the upper link, the lower arm, they intersect. Then other side, same thing, upper link, extend it, lower arm, extend it. And then the final part is from the contact patch center point. You draw a line to that intersection point. And then from the other side, you draw a line to that intersection point. And then where these lines intersect here under the chassis, that is the roll center. So in this example now, in this drawing, the roll center is here above the ground plane. Another point that's relevant here is when the car rolls or chassis moves, the roll center will move somewhere, right? So that's what the roll center is. Then another thing that we need to remember is that there's a front roll center and a rear one. And that's really what we're going to mainly talk about today. There's so much to cover. We aren't going to cover everything, but we are going to cover the balance of the roll center. So how does it affect the car when you have a certain roll center in the front and another one in the rear? What's going on there? Okay, where is my mouse? There. So now we kind of understand what the roll center is. I want to answer the questions first. Here we go. Here was one. How do you tell as a car designer that another car's roll centers are inherently out of whack or actually in the ballpark? So what I just showed you, when you study the roll center enough, so you have a car design and you make various different roll center settings, you will learn to understand what works. Okay. And then if you measure up a competitor's car and check their setups and you analyze where the roll center is, first of all, so where it is statically, and then where it moves as the chassis rolls, then you will get an idea of how the car is balanced and how the car will perform. Now, sometimes if they are really strangely positioned and move in strange ways, then you can determine that this car will most likely be unbalanced and perform very differently on different types of tracks because of that. And it happens. So that's how you do it. Like, I don't actually need to drive a car to have a good idea of how the car will drive, because the thing is that out of all the different settings in the car, the roll center is really the most important, in the sense that it will determine the nature of the car. And then all the other adjustments you do is just to fine tune what you already have. The roll center is kind of what you are stuck with. This is where you are. This is the nature of the car. And then you adjust everything else around that. So it's really, it's a powerful thing. We had another question. First Q&A, how RC is related to personal driving style? Okay, I will answer this question after I talk about the main subject, which is the relation between the roll center front to back. Let's see if we have some picture that could work for this. Okay, here. We can use this as an example just. So if we have a car and the front roll center is very low and then the rear roll center is higher, then we have this roll axis which is tilted down towards the front. If we have the opposite, we could have a car where the roll center is high in the front and then low in the rear. So then the roll axis is tilted up towards the front. Do you understand what I mean? Those two cars will handle in different ways. So it's not enough to just look at a roll center separately, just for the front, separately, just for the rear. You also need to look at how they interact with each other. So front versus rear and the difference between them. So I am going to show you once again this file that I'm working on, which is the Mayako files, all about the Mayako buggy and setup. And this will actually answer Neo's question, how RC is related to personal driving style. The biggest and most important thing is this that we're talking about, which direction the roll axis is tilted when it comes to driving style. So here we go. Roll center balance. This is one of the tabs here in the Mayako files. So here we go. Balancing the front to rear RC relationship is important. There is a general rule of thumb that you can follow. So low front, high rear. So the front roll center lower, the rear roll center higher. The car is going to drive in a way where the front end has smooth initial steering. So less initial grip, more overall grip. The car turns in smoothly. Then mid corner, the front end has good grip and it keeps turning the car. And because the rear roll center is higher, it will allow the car to rotate naturally, because mid corner, the rear end will have slightly less traction compared to the front. Then as you get on power, the rear end grips and supports the car, while the front end will begin to push slightly. So by tilting the roll axis in this way, normally a car will be easier to drive because the initial steering is smooth. The risk of the car turning in too aggressively or the car flipping over on corner entry is lower. And then as you get on power, the rear end grips. So you feel like you have good rear grip. So it's safe to drive. Then when you compare the opposite situation where you have a high front roll center and low rear roll center, then the car will drive in a way where the front end is responsive and it turns a lot into the corner. The mid corner, the front doesn't want to turn the car as much, but the car will rotate a lot because the rear is softer. So the rear actually rolls, and because the rear is soft and rolls, that helps to rotate the car. I think what happens actually is because the rear rolls, it wants to transfer more load on the front to the front outside tire. Because the rear is rolling, the front has reached its sort of limit. It's forcing the front to roll more, but instead of rolling more because it's sort of at its limit, it rolls a bit more. But main thing is it's transferring more load to that outside tire, which helps to turn the car. So you go in, you have good steering. Then mid corner, the rear rolls, forces the front to transfer more load outside. So the front also turns the car mid corner. Then the problem with this, or actually it's a good thing too, is when you get on power, the car will want to oversteer. So it rotates mid corner and then wants to keep turning. So you have to be careful not to overload the rear when you get on power and you exit the corner, because the car will want to keep turning. So on a loose track, this can be difficult because when you exit, it's not the same as before where the rear grips and wants to go straight. Now with this setup, the car may want to fishtail instead. So this way of setting up the car tends to be harder to drive, but it can be very fast because the car is responsive into the corners, then turns a lot mid to exit. The old HB used to be like this. When I drove that four-wheel drive test with all the four-wheel drives, many of them had this tendency. I sort of readjusted them to be easier for me to drive, but the TLR especially was like this. And when I look at Fend, for example, and how fast he is with the the TLR 4-wheel drive, it often looks like this also when he's driving. Like he'll go in and the car turns aggressively and then it just rotates super quick. And he's so precise at driving that it doesn't look hard. But I think a lot of people will struggle with a car like that because of the problem of over rotating mid to exit, and you have to get on power and straighten out the steering sort of carefully. And this way of driving is also something that Ronnefalk prefers, but also a reason why then when under pressure he has often in the past made mistakes, because you have to be so precise when you drive through corners and exiting corners. And when you are in a battle with someone, it can get a bit hectic. So for this, I would say that most 8-scale buggies are this first version, low front, high rear, sort of very close to the same or lower front, higher rear. And that's for this reason, just so much easier to drive for sort of most drivers. And it's possible to set your car up high front, low rear also on most 8-scale buggies, I think. But when I look at the setups, it's not normally how they are set up. Okay, so does that all make sense? I haven't really been checking comments. Just jumped in. Are we talking about roll center axis inclination? Yes. So this means that the roll axis is lower in the front, higher in the rear. So it's tilted towards the front, and then high front, low rear, it's tilted towards the rear. That's what we're talking about. So then this is like the key point. If you understand what I just explained, this is then the key point to understand what you need to do for yourself. So if you are like me and you want your car to be very sort of stable, easy to drive, smooth into corners, rotate, as soon as you get on power, the rear just locks in and it's easy to, point it in a direction and go. You don't have to sort of second guess or sort of be afraid that it will oversteer a bit or fishtail or anything. Then you want to make sure that your front roll center is low and your rear roll center is higher than the front. Okay. On the Mayako, that's easy because sort of everything is in the middle as standard. And then wherever you move it, you are affecting this balance. If you are lowering your front roll center on a Mayako from everything being middle, it's going to be lower than the rear. Do you understand? So there's many different ways to do it and different levels to do it. But that's how the Mayako is designed to. When it's neutral, it's truly neutral. Then you can set the direction you want, the feel you want. Then after you've picked your direction, you've picked your poison. For me, it would be low front, high rear. Then what you do is you want to adjust the initial versus overall grip and timing of load transfer on each end around the RC balance with all the setup features of the car. Now, actually, today I saw Ryan Lutz posted a video, and I think it was a really good video about how to set your car up for a bumpy track. And I think that I'll make a video reaction to it because it was really good. But then there were some things in it which are very common. People always say these things, but they are wrong. So I'm going to have to correct him. And on the topic of Ryan Lutz, he's actually coming on Invisible Speed live meetings. Let me see now. We just set the dates with him. Yeah, so we are doing 2 meetings with Lutz. He's going to be on Sunday, the 17th of December. And then he will be on Monday, the 18th of December. And we will do 2 different time zones. So one which will be okay for Asian and American viewers. Well, actually, it's going to be very early for Americans. It's going to be mainly for European and Asian viewers, and then one which is good for American and European viewers. So Sunday the 17th and Monday the 18th of December, Ryan Lutz will be on the Invisible Speed live. So if you haven't joined the Invisible Speed online course, now would be a good time to do so. So anyway, the problem with his video was he was talking about how the car rolls and transfers more load, where that's actually not what's happening. When you see the car rolling, what's actually happening is it's transferring less load. When the car rolls onto the front, for example, that time that it takes for the car to roll is delaying load transfer. A smaller amount of load is transferring. Imagine the suspension was completely stiff and you did the same movement. The suspension couldn't compress. Load would transfer a lot faster onto that outside tire. The momentum is the same, grip is the same. There would be no suspension to deflect. The load would just all transfer onto that outside tire. So when you see that car rolling, the chassis moving, rolling onto the outside, that's an indication of the direction where the load is going, but remember that it's actually delaying load transfers. For that section of the track, there's less load transfer. So what we want to do after setting the roll center is we want to adjust how quickly that load is transferring. So quick load transfer means a lot of initial grip, a lot of response. Slow load transfer means more overall grip. So less response, and more overall grip means the car is rolling, delaying load transfer. So you mainly set the roll center balance. So this low front, high rear, or high front, low rear, you mainly set that by setting the upper link angle or lower arm height on the inside, front and rear. And then to adjust this initial versus overall grip, and the timing, so how quickly the load transfers, you mainly do that by adjusting link length and axle height. So with a longer link, everything will take longer. Shorter link, everything will be faster. So short link, faster load transfer, more initial grip. Long link, more overall grip. Delayed load transfer. With axle height, it's a similar thing. So low axle height, stiffer geometry, faster load transfer, more initial grip. Higher axle height, softer geometry, more roll, delayed load transfer, more overall grip. So that's then what you fine tune after you've picked your direction of roll axis inclination. So then, and this is the last key point here, once you have a good balance, so you picked the direction you want to have your roll centers, and then you picked the link length and your axle heights. What you then do is you can set how far in the track the car is or how much on the track the car is. So you do this by adjusting the front and rear the same way. So raising or lowering the links or the front and rear arms on the inside. Either lowering roll centers front and rear for the car to feel more in the track and sucked into the track, less likely to flip over, safer to drive. Or then you raise the roll centers front and rear to make the car a bit more responsive, more initial grip overall. But when you do this together, same change front and rear, you won't affect the balance of the car too much, just the overall feel of it. Okay, does that all make sense? Are we making sense here? Okay. Did we have more roll center questions here? Clap, clap. That reminds me. 0 beer funds arrived this live, and also 0 hole funds. So that hole is going to remain there. My foot went through the wall by accident at some point. I believe I was trying to learn a Green Day song. Palm muting was hard. And yeah, that happened. I have 7 minutes before I have a meeting. Let's see if I can get through these questions. Hi, JQ. I've got a no bullshit type of question. That's exactly the type of questions I like. Let's hope that statement doesn't backfire now. What's your take on modafinil use in RC racing? Is it a thing among the pro drivers during big races, or are there any other popular PEDs used in RC? I have no idea what that is, so I don't think it's that popular. But you know what? I think that there could be some PEDs that help in RC, seriously, because I think RC could use some of the same stuff that sort of professional um, target shooters, or what is that called, what they use. Like there is medication that could help you stay calm and focused and precise and all of that stuff, right? um, so I do think that there could be some stuff that could help, but RC isn't big enough, the money isn't big enough for anyone to really get into that, which is actually a good thing. I don't think that we should be popping pills or taking medication to improve our performance. I don't think that would be a good thing at all. So I don't really know. I don't know if people have experimented with stuff. You know what I do? I just have a beer, and that helps. That helps calm the nerves. Thoughts on Techno's front arms that have a twist in them? Yeah, I have actually thought about that. And if you go watch some races, I remember Silver State, this happened, some others, there are some moments where Technos have incredible crashes where they just stop, like they're just going and then they just stop and explode like in place. And I'm thinking, like, could that be because they catch a bump and it sort of locks the arm because it twists so much that the suspension can't move up? It just sort of somehow locks up, stops the forward momentum, hits the track and just explodes in place. I've seen that happen with Technos a few times, enough times to where I think there's maybe something to that. I'm a badass. JQ, what a badass dude you are. Thank you. Thanks for all you do for us. Great story, bro. Great story, bro. And you know what? Everything I explained here is explained even better in the book, the new book, Invisible Speed 2.0. I didn't do this justice just now, but I wanted to give you a bit of a peek. Second question: should the RC, the roll center, be related to shock damping in some way to make a good setup? If you understand what I mean. Yes. So when you have, let's put it this way. So if you set your roll centers higher and the car has more initial grip, then maybe you need to compensate by changing the car in other ways to where it's a bit more calm. And then the other direction, if you have very low roll centers and you want the car to be very in the track, maybe you need to change other things to make it more responsive. So maybe you would run like a few large holes to calm the car down when you have higher roll centers, and when you have lower roll centers, maybe it would be better to have fewer, like more smaller holes, so that the car is a bit more firm and responsive. So that's one way to sort of compensate when you use a different piston. So different damping to match what you are doing with your roll centers to sort of compensate for it. So of course, everything in setup affects everything else, always, every time. So you can't get away from that. Ebook. Fuck ebooks. I'm not making an ebook. I have downloadable documents. That will be like At some point, I'll update them, short form, quick advice, that kind of stuff. And the Mayako files, of course, they will be on the Mayako wiki. And that I'll have online. But then the book itself, that's a real book. You buy it, you get it, you have it in your pit bag, you can reference it. That's going to be a real book, never an ebook. The reason that suspension design theory is one of my favorite subjects is because you can ask 10 different people who race something, what does this setting do? And you'll get 10 to 15 answers. Yeah, you will. There are many reasons for that. There aren't that many sort of right answers, I think, but there are a few anyway. So a lot of the answers you get when you ask questions are actually wrong and provably wrong. But even the right ones, there's not just one right answer. So it's good. What is this in relation to? So the ebook, a template that in each chapter readers can fill out a setup sheet of a given previous scenario, and once completed, a simulator will run and show how their car would behave with the chosen setup. So readers can see in real time how their different choices are affecting that behavior. Okay, so I think it would not be an ebook, but an app. And I think there would be a lot of room to make incredible apps for Invisible Speed, but they cost a lot of money, and Invisible Speed doesn't have a lot of money. When we haven't sold enough books or courses to be able to invest in any apps, but there's a number of apps that could work really well for this application. On my B4, I can adjust front roll center by the front upper arm, but when would I angle the front upper arm? For example, higher front pill or lower rear pill? Okay, I see what you mean. So yeah, that's a pillowable car. So what you can do is you can angle the upper arm in a different angle than the lower arm. And what that does is it basically gives you active caster. So if you angle it so you raise the front and or lower the rear of the upper arm, so it's at a larger angle. If the front lower arm is at this angle and it's the upper arm is not parallel, it's at a large angle, then when the suspension moves, you'll sort of have active caster. You'll increase caster as the suspension compresses, so that it changes the steering feel. I think that they actually do this. I think that Mugen and associated drivers and pillowball car drivers actually do this sometimes. So maybe worth a try. Thank you, JQ. Your comment about roll center versus axle height just enlightened me. I need to sign up for Invisible Speed. Yeah, we got a course sale from this live. That's amazing. It's worth doing. Cheers to that. Cheers. So remember, the 17th of December and 18th of December, we'll have Ryan Lutz on to talk about stuff. He just made a good video. Go check out his YouTube channel. But I'm going to debunk it partially. Yeah, at some point. Not really. Well, I'm going to just talk about some details in it. It's my pet peeve, you know. I have to go. I have a meeting. Jesus Christ. Time flies when you're having fun. Axle height refers to both diff height and hub height together, or only diff height, hub height alone? Only the hub height is axle height. The axle is by the wheel, and that the height of the axle in relation to the lower arm. That's what we're talking about. Whoa, 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 whoa. Play us a song or start your motocross outside. Thanks for roll center knowledge transfer. 10 euros. Well, you heard a dirt bike outside. So there we go. 10 euros, Bauman. Bauman has had a good day today. Thank you very much. That buys me next week's beer. This guy, Darren's been living under a rock. Is the Black edition done, and is JQ Racing done? Yes, a long time ago. JQ Racing became Invisible Speed and Mayako, kind of. So Mayako is a new project, new car. Invisible Speed is my thing. Sharing knowledge, like Ty Lopez. Look up that fool. He's my hero. I run shock limiters so my chassis don't hit the ground. People tell me that is what? Tell me that is that. Why is that? Okay, this is one of the greatest comments I've got so far. Rory, you're a genius. I run shock limiters so my chassis don't hit the ground. People tell me that is that. Why is that? I run shock limiters so my chassis don't hit the ground. People tell me that is that. Why is that? Well, Rory, that's because that is what's good. That is that up not. You definitely know. That's my answer to you. Try to find a Trappist Rochefort 8 Belgian or 2. Whoa, $20 to find a beer. Okay, I'm going to have to write that down and go look for one. You should go with full sensor data analysis to show the magic you try to teach. It's not magic, but what is it called? Test logger have these. If I had more time, it would be really fun to do. Yes. One idea I had was to have a car and with the sensors, and then have, back when we had Ronne Falk and Robert and these guys, to go be on a track, and then have them each drive the same car and compare their inputs and everything. That would be cool. So Scott Walker wants me to leave. I have a meeting. So who owns Mayako? Arms dealer or hedge fund? The owner of Mayako is involved in the pharmaceutical industry. No, I'm just kidding. MPC is waiting. No, MPC meeting is in 1 hour. This is another meeting, unless I'm mistaken. I might be. I don't know. I have no fucking idea. I know I need to stop this meeting because I have another one. 3D renders and videos would do the job just fine. I try hard to follow your explanations and lectures, but I must say I've been a bit overwhelmed lately with so much to learn and try to experience. Well, you know what? These lives are not intended to be the real deal. This is a snapshot of what you get in the online course and the live meetings. We have a better, more in-depth learning environment in the Invisible Speed online course. So anyway, but this video you can rewatch and listen to what I say, read the text on the screen, study a roll center image, and you can figure it out. I believe in you. Mark 1, I believe in you. Okay, anyway, someone end this. I need to go. You know what to do. Anyone? There we go. We are done. We didn't have time to do everything, I think. Maybe we did. E-buggy. Oh my God. E-truggy. That's how we're going to end this one. E-truggy.